And a good spiritual morning to you once again. I'm Father Cosmas.
I'm Pres Michelle.
Thanks for joining us today for a quick chat. And of course, our morning cup of coffee.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us. We hope you're having a wonderful day.
Absolutely. We're already laughing. I can barely talk. Although we're having a serious video for today, somewhat serious video. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on. And we all have seen on the news, and we all know the devastation of the fires, the wildfires burning in Southern California. And so many people afflicted, such devastation, loss of life, the loss of property. Let's
so widespread.
Start by sort of saying, of course, our hearts go out to the people that have been affected. Prayers for everyone, obviously, that has passed away, and for the families, the devastation.
Yes.
It's a terrible and tragic thing. And we're trying to figure out, how to consider it, how to think about it.
How to process it.
Yeah, because as we're processing it, and I've been talking to people, having lots of conversations, all my family's in the LA area and have been affected by it. So we're talking about and asking him, and I was talking to someone just this morning, and they were saying, talking about it, and sort of this amazing idea of priorities. When you think about a fire coming, and God willing, you have the time to know that it's coming.
Oh, it could be an instant.
Right. Yeah. And that's where people are, there's loss of life. But if you do know, okay, fire is coming, what do you do? Sort of like, okay, I'm going to get in my car and I've got to leave.
Yeah.
Like I've got to go someplace else
choice.
And stay temporarily. Maybe you're going to stay with family. Maybe you have to go to a hotel or something. So you've got your car, God willing, you have your car. You have a car and then you've got to empty out your house to put stuff.
So what do I put in my car?
Right.
It's not very big. It's just a car.
Right. So I think there's two things that are hitting me when I'm thinking about this. The one is, first and foremost, and this is what the result of that conversation I was having this morning, which was, who cares about the stuff? Like it puts things into perspective, right? It puts things into real perspective.
You're saying because of fear of loss of life?
Right. The first thing is we want everyone to get out safely.
Yeah.
Right. Whether it's fire or flood or whatever.
Earthquake in California.
Right. You want people to get away safely. You don't want people to have there to be loss of life. You don't want anyone to die or to get hurt. And so when it comes to the property, it's stuff. Now I know it's precious to people.
And it could be their whole home. So I see what you're saying.
Course.
It's difficult. I'm not
trying to minimize that.
Right. Of course.
But if you're weighing out the two, the first thing you're trying to say is, did people get out alive? That's the first thing we're hoping for. Yeah. And the first thing you're trying to do is like, okay, if I see a fire coming and I know I can't pick up my house and move it, my house isn't going anywhere. I can't, pack everything up in my house and move it. I don't have an 18-wheeler out back. So the first thing is the priorities of things. In the end, it's just stuff. It's just physical objects.
So is your conversation talking about what you might choose? Because like you're saying,
Interestingly, no, the conversation was first about the priorities of things and then it was sort of like also in our day-to-day life, how it really puts things into perspective.
Oh.
Because, you worry about these things day to day and you focus on these little things, and these little things can seem, monumental in terms of the importance. And then all of a sudden you see flames coming and you realize, oh, I guess none of that stuff was really important, was it? I guess that's not the most important thing. We're just so happy that we're alive, and we're so happy
and
that
we're together.
We're not confronted by such horror like that. When we see those people and you see whole neighborhoods being wiped out, and you start thinking, okay, wow, I guess what I was worrying about today is probably not as important as what these poor people are being faced with. And it kind of gives you a sense of perspective. So the first thing is, so maybe it's three things. Maybe the first thing is the importance of life. And I think about that gospel passage, what would you give in exchange? What can a man give in exchange for his life, right? Nothing. Like that's the first thing, what you can't give in exchange for your life. The other stuff is just that. We can get too attached to physical things, to belongings. And the next thing is when you see tragedy, it sort of puts things into perspective as we're looking from the outside.
Yeah, it's very emotional from the outside.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's very emotional because, like you're saying, we're a little bit grateful that it's not where we are.
Of course.
But then we're horrified to see what complete devastation looks like. I don't think a lot of us can process that unless we're there.
No, you can't. I don't think you can really understand.
No, I don't think we can understand
what it's like to be in that circumstance until you experience it.
But I have to be honest, and forgive me if this is, something trivial, but I did think, what would I put in my car?
No, that would be the third thing. It's like, okay,
what would I,
if we're, like you're saying, I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off.
No, it's fine.
I do that all the time.
It's okay.
Don't worry, it's
I
not
talk
specific.
too
It's not
much.
just specific to you. I cut people off all the
I
time.
talk too
I get paid to do that. It's my job. No, first thing is like you're saying, the importance of life and realizing the other stuff. It's just stuff, physical things. They're not as important, and we spend a lot of time trying to acquire stuff and worrying about that, and realizing when all is said and done, the most important thing is our life and our loved ones. Like, and to realize we're putting our loved ones first, and then to realize as perspective, like that stuff's not as important in day-to-day life for us that aren't affected by it. Wow, let's not get lost in, trivial things because, we're blessed. But like you're saying, the last thing is, if you do have to pack your car, what do you put in it?
Yeah.
Like, what are you running for and putting in the trunk of your car or the back of your minivan? Are you loading up your television? What are you loading up? Are you putting in all of
irreplaceable things?
All of your purses and your shoes
things.
and your clothes? What are you putting there?
As a mom, I'm thinking photo albums. I'm thinking things were handed down from my parents or my grandparents. Like you said, I'm not trying to dismiss anything. But it was a mental exercise where I thought, if I was in that situation, what would I fit in my car? It's very difficult. It's very, I did think about pictures and I thought about some of that wonderful stuff. I did think about things handed down from generations.
I think that's what most people would.
Yeah.
I don't think that's, I think that's very normal.
Okay.
Common to sort of say the stuff that cannot be replaced.
Yeah.
Right. You would think so it's the stuff that has emotional attachment.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're looking around, it's like, okay, what do I know I cannot replace? I think two things. Probably you're looking at value. So the value is going to be one, emotional attachment and irreplaceability. Is that a word? Or did I make that up? Irreplaceability, but also value in terms of how much is this? If you've got $1 million painting in your house, you're probably going to grab the $1 million painting, even if you're not emotionally attached to it, because it's worth $1 million. So if people that, you might have a little bit of cash, you probably are grabbing the cash and sticking it, or if you have a diamond ring, or if you have anything.
Or an heirloom.
The heirloom that's emotional attachment.
Oh, that's
what I'm
true.
saying is just in terms of monetary value, people are probably thinking, okay, what do I have that's worth the most that I should probably try to save? But also if you can't, then you're probably balancing it out. What's the most important to me? I think that's what it comes down to. What do I value the most? What's the most important to me? And is it just based on what I could sell it for and get? Or is it based on the emotional attachment that I have because I got it from my grandmother or my grandfather, or it's a picture of my children that I can never replace, or my wedding album that I can...
Yeah, it's not going to be the stuff I bought at Hobby Lobby last week because it was on sale. Like, it's not, like you're saying, it's true. That's, if you had 60 seconds to go and grab something, what would you grab?
I don't know if people, if they have 60 seconds, here's what's interesting. It's like one of those exercises. It's like, if you win the lottery, what are you doing? Right. And it's easy to say if I won, I don't know what the biggest lottery has been.
It just was $1 billion. I don't know what their take home was, but it was 1.2 billion or something like that. Yeah. It was
that's
unimaginable.
Right. So even if you're, I don't know what your take home is, but let's say it's less than half. So say it's $500 million. Right. So that's easy to spend because it's $500 million. You're like, okay, you're rubbing your hands together. What am I going to do? But what if you won $500,000? Or what if you won $100,000?
Yeah.
And for most of us, like that's not even touching our mortgage, right?
Yeah,
so it's
that's
like,
fantastic.
okay, wait, what am I doing? So then it's like, what's your priority? If you have 5 minutes and you're running, you're going to do it real quick. That's kind of like you have $1 billion. But what if you have 3 days or 2, or what if you have like a day? What if the fire department comes and says, you know what, the flames are coming.
Tomorrow you're out.
Tomorrow, we need you to evacuate tomorrow. So you have the day to find a place to load up your car. And let's say you don't have family to say, okay, I'm going to offload, or you're not going to go to a storage unit.
Okay.
You're just going to pack up your car and you're going to go to the local, I don't know, Motel 6 or wherever your extended stay America, wherever you're going. So if you got a carload, but you've got 8 hours. Now you're walking and you're around your house and you've got 8 hours. You're not just running through trying to fear for your life, but and now you're looking at stuff, but okay, I've only got how many square footage or cubic footage fits in a car?
In my car.
Not much. Now what are we picking? Like that's where I think it gets more interesting and more difficult. It's like, what do you do if you win the lottery, but you only win $50,000? Like, what are you doing with that money?
Yeah.
Are you going on vacation? Are you paying off your mortgage? Are you giving it to charity? What are you doing with it? It's the same thing.
So
Like
as a spiritual exercise, how do we prioritize things in our life besides relationships, right? Because like you said, all of it's just tangible, not to dismiss Yaya's ring or something that's, like you said,
the emotional stuff.
irreplaceable. But it's an interesting exercise that you're giving me because my brain's going in two different directions. I have to be honest with you.
which
Yeah, my brain's going in two different directions, like photo albums and things that I've had for a long time, and notes from the kids when they were little, and things that make my heart sing. But then now I'm thinking, but it's all still just paper.
And it is. And of course, like we're saying, the most important thing is we're first and foremost, we're worrying about our kids, and you're worrying about getting your kids out.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting exercise because as parents or as people in our, families and whatever we're dealing with, we can sometimes spend too much time worrying about the externals and worrying about the physical, worrying about the stuff, and not enough time, let's say, paying attention to people and to sort of recognize that. And that's the huge temptation in the life of the church. It's a huge temptation especially for priests in the
what
church.
way?
Well, because you're at church, and church is, oftentimes a building.
Right.
And speaking as someone that's been blessed to be at a parish where we've built a church, and so you get to design and build a structure, a lot of times your effort and your energy can go into the brick and the steel and the wood and the mortar and the paint and making sure that it's maintained and making sure it's not falling apart, making sure the roof doesn't leak. And there's always something to fix. And so you're worrying about
like a house
stuff.
Yeah.
But realizing that the church isn't stuff. The church isn't the building. The church is the people. So you're supposed to be worrying about the people, not the structure. And I think in life, it's the same thing. You worry about the people, not the stuff that are associated with the people.
Yeah.
And far too often that can happen. We're working and we're busying ourselves to acquire things to make us happy and to make our families happy. And oftentimes at the neglect of actually spending time with our families and
so
enjoying the time.
that's a big takeaway from what we've been seeing is like you're saying you boil it down to the family and the relationships and the people in your life. Everything else is frosting on the cake, right? Everything else is.
And it should be that. And like as we were driving over this morning, we're passing yard sales. We just passed a big yard sale. We pass yard sales all the time. You're in California. There's yard sales year round. I know in our neighborhood back in Chicago, it was like one
month in the summer.
1 month in the summer on a weekend. But here it's January and you've got yard sales because you can. And you always see just this stuff coming out. And I always feel like there's this subculture of people where they've acquired stuff. Now it's too much stuff. Now it's coming out. Now they're selling it. And the people going there to buy it, they're buying it and they're buying stuff because they're collecting or because they're gonna put it in their garage or in your basement in a different part of the country. And then eventually you're going to pull that out and put that on your yard. And it's just kind of moving stuff from yard to yard to yard and just exchanging money back and forth just so we can feel better, fill that hole in our heart by filling it with just stuff. And in the end, whether it gets flooded or it gets destroyed in a fire or an earthquake, it's just stuff. The important thing is the people and the relationships, and to try to place more effort and energy into that. Of course, the first one being our relationship with Christ, in our spiritual relationship, but also thinking about the relationships with the people that we love and the people that are closest to us.
Yeah.
And the people that we don't know. All the people that are putting all that stuff kind of out there to sort of make an extra $100 and make an extra $200. There are people out there that could benefit from that. Just let it go. We've tried to have yard sales in the past when we've moved and we've had to sort of liquidate things. And someone came up and said that I'm really interested in this. All right.
Yeah, just take it.
Just take it.
Yeah.
What do you want to give me for it? Just take it. It's okay. We've even done that at churches. We've tried those white elephant sales to try to be fundraisers. People would bring stuff. And by the end, you're like, it becomes a community outreach. People just come in. It's like, grab a bag and fill it up and have at it and enjoy it. It's just stuff.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. Worry about people and worry about building up your relationship and our relationship with Christ and doing that each and every day.
Amen.